Most people do not fail fasting because they are weak. They fail fasting because they hit the exact same wall over and over again. It doesn't happen at hour 1. It doesn't happen right after dinner. It happens somewhere in that ugly stretch between I am fine and I'm about to raid the kitchen. That is the exact moment the entire plan collapses. You tell yourself you were doing this for fat loss. You tell yourself you were doing it for insulin sensitivity, for mental clarity, for cellular cleanup, for autophagy. But when that massive hunger spike hits your brain, none of that matters. Suddenly, your body is no longer thinking about longevity, it's thinking about immediate biological survival. So, you eat, and then you look in the mirror filled with guilt, and you decide that fasting just isn't for you. But what if the problem is not fasting? What if the problem is the way you are entering it? Because here's the biological reality that almost nobody explains well. The hardest part of fasting is not the fast itself, it is the transition. It is the metabolic handoff between being completely dependent on glucose to becoming dependent on fat. It's that awkward, deeply uncomfortable gap where your brain wants fuel right now, your habits want comfort right now, and your body has not fully switched its engines over yet. That transition zone is where people break, and that is exactly why one single tablespoon can change everything. Not because it is magic, not because it breaks the laws of thermodynamics, but because one tablespoon, used with absolute strategic precision, can act like a biological Trojan horse. It enters the fast looking like food, but what it really does is build a bridge, helping you cross safely into the state you were trying to reach in the first place. When most people start fasting, they make a fatal error. They think the goal is to prove how long they can suffer, so they white-knuckle it. Black coffee, water, more black coffee. Pure brute force willpower. If they make it to noon, they think they're winning. But internally, their focus gets shaky, their patience collapses, their decision-making degrades. Because your body is not stupid. If the transition into fasting feels chaotic and painful, your central nervous system reads it as a true emergency. And when the brain reads emergency, it stops caring about elegant cellular repair. It starts caring about fast calories and immediate relief. To fix this, you have to understand the software inside your cells. Your cells are completely blind. They do not know if you are sitting at a desk or starving in a desert. They only know what your hormones tell them. Inside your cells, there is a biological seesaw. On one side is mTOR. This is your growth and building sensor. Whenever you eat carbohydrates or protein, insulin spikes and mTOR screams, "Food is here, grow." On the other side of the seesaw is AMPK. This is your survival, repair, and recycling sensor. When insulin drops to absolute zero during a fast, AMPK turns on. This activates autophagy, the process where your cells literally eat their own toxic waste, destroying aging zombie cells and misfolded proteins to keep you young. If you try to survive the fast by eating a handful of almonds or a tiny piece of fruit, you spike your insulin. The mTOR alarm rings and AMPK shuts off instantly. The autophagy stops. You ruined the cellular cleanup for a 50-calorie snack. So how do we get fuel to the brain without triggering the mTOR alarm? We use the Trojan horse. The tablespoon I'm talking about is pure C8 MCT oil, caproic acid, exactly 15 milliliters. Why this and not random butter in your coffee? Why not coconut oil? Because C8 MCT is structurally unique. It's absorbed and metabolized entirely differently from long-chain dietary fats. It does not require bile salts to digest. It bypasses the normal digestive route, moves rapidly straight into the liver, and is immediately converted into ketones. And because it's a pure lipid, pure fat, it generates virtually zero insulin response. It goes into your system in absolute stealth mode. The guards at the mTOR gate do not see it. Let's look at the clinical data. In a human study on healthy adults, a single 15 milliliter dose of C8 MCT oil significantly raised blood beta-hydroxybutyrate, the primary ketone body, from baseline fasting levels. The blood markers rose from 0.10 millimolars to 0.20 millimolars within 60 minutes. That's not deep therapeutic ketosis, but it's a signal. And in biology, signals are everything. You are technically ingesting something, but functionally, you are providing your brain with a premium bridge fuel. Within 10 minutes, the brain fog clears, the shaking stops, the friction disappears, but your body continues to behave as if it's in a low-energy, fasted environment.
Now this is where the internet nonsense begins, so let's shut it down right here. 1 tablespoon of MCT oil is not the exact same as a strict water fast. It is not definitive proof that autophagy just switched on like a floodlight, and it is certainly not permission to pour 400 calories of heavy cream and butter into your coffee and call it biohacking. The fasting world has a strange, toxic obsession with purity. They argue about what breaks a fast, as if the human body operates like a courtroom verdict, guilty or not guilty, fasted or not fasted. Biology is rarely that binary. What matters is the direction of the signal. Autophagy is the real engine of cellular cleanup, and total starvation is the strongest trigger. But clinical data is evolving. In a 2025 pilot randomized clinical trial testing a fasting-mimicking diet, researchers found improvements in autophagic flux and metabolic markers even when patients consumed highly specific, low-protein, high-fat calories. It suggests a massive loophole. You do not always need total, brutal starvation to nudge the machinery of fasting biology. Once you understand that fasting benefits operate on a spectrum, your strategy changes. You stop asking, how do I suffer harder to be perfect? And you start asking, how do I stay inside the metabolic neighborhood of fasting without collapsing? Here's the second, and arguably more important reason the Trojan Horse Fast works. It doesn't just change your chemistry, it changes your behavior. Because the real enemy of fasting is not hunger, it is what hunger makes you do next. A systematic review and meta-analysis found that consuming medium-chain triglycerides decreased subsequent energy intake compared to standard fats. In plain English, people didn't always feel completely full, but when it was finally time to eat, they naturally ate less. That distinction is massive. Many people wait to feel zero hunger before they believe a fast is working. That is the wrong metric. The better metric is this. Did this strategy help me avoid the rebound? Did it help me delay my first meal without obsessing over the clock? Did it help me break the fast like an intelligent adult instead of tearing through the pantry like a starving raccoon? That is the actual win. When you repeat that win over days and weeks, your physiology physically changes. You compress your feeding windows without psychological violence. You become metabolically flexible. You stop interpreting every hunger wave as a biological emergency. Here's the protocol. Simple, controlled, no cult behavior. Step 1. Finish dinner clean. Do not set up the next morning with a late-night carb and dessert disaster. The Trojan Horse Fast starts the night before. Keep your insulin low before bed. Step 2. Wake up and do a real fast first. Water, black coffee, green tea. Do not reach for the oil immediately just because you woke up. Let your body tap into its own reserves first. Step 3. Use the tablespoon only at the friction point, not out of boredom, not out of habit. You wait for the exact moment you can feel the fast about to fail, the moment the brain fog hits. That's when you deploy exactly 1 tablespoon of C8 MCT oil, not 3, just 1. Step 4. Do not stack it with a meal. The point is to buy time, not create a snack. After the tablespoon, go back to work. Take calls, stay busy. Let the bridge do its job. Step 5. Delay, then land properly. When you finally do break the fast, do it with a protein-first, low-chaos meal. Eggs and avocado, chicken and greens, high-quality meat. Do not cross a metabolic desert just to reward yourself with ultra-processed garbage. Step 6. Use it strategically, not forever. The goal is not to become dependent on oil. The goal is to train metabolic flexibility. You use this to make the fasting window sustainable while your body slowly remembers how to burn its own fat effortlessly. The goal of health is not to win a purity contest. The goal was never to see who can starve the hardest. The goal was to stay in the biological state long enough for your cells to actually start working for you. The Trojan fast solves the part of fasting that ruins fasting, the entry. It lets you stop confusing unnecessary suffering with metabolic effectiveness. And once you master that transition, the day changes. Once the day changes, the week changes. And once the week changes, your body composition, your cravings, your discipline, and your confidence start to look like they belong to a completely different person. This is not cheating, it is strategy. And biological strategy beats self-punishment every single time. 1 tablespoon, 1 bridge, 1 less collapse. Own the transition, own your mornings, upgrade your hardware, protect your software, and I'll see you in the next one.